So we're going to give them a little bit of time to introduce themselves, and we're actually going to take this in rounds. The first round is going to be a pitch round where each of them will get a short amount of time to let you know who their company is and what they do best. Then we're going to go to our inquisitors sitting over here, and I'll introduce them in just a second. These guys are the subject matter experts for what these guys sell. These guys are going to call BS on what these guys are saying on behalf of you, okay? Then we're going to move to a head-to-head round where we'll pick 2 or 3 people at random and they will debate the question that we ask them. Then we'll do an audience round where you can ask whatever questions you like. And then if there's time, we'll do a lightning round where we will ask questions and they're required to answer in 1 word. Okay? You guys understand how it's going to go? Awesome. All right, so let's start down here, and we'll go down the line. You each have 15 seconds to introduce yourselves. You'll get a pitch round in just a second to introduce your company, but we'll start with just you for now.
Hey, George Just, VP of Sales for Tulare Networks. I did think there was going to be blood and weapons, so I don't normally dress like this.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Rob McBride, Director of Marketing at Versa Networks, and I'm kind of scared of this guy.
I'm Ryan Williams. I'm the Director of Channel Sales for the Master Agent Community for CloudGenix.
Hi, I'm Ed Bassard. I'm the founder of InSpeed Networks, and I have a fearsome competitor right next to me, very similar company.
Hi, I'm Jeff Burchett, co-founder and VP of Sales at Big Leaf Networks.
All right, awesome. That was the fastest that it's ever been done in the panel, so kudos to you guys. All right, so let's go over to our subject matter experts. Like I said, these are the guys that are going to call BS on these guys over here. So let's start down here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I think so. Andrew D'Elia from BCM1.
Hey folks, Devin Williams from Converge Network Services Group.
Chris Donlin from Microcorp.
All right, and show of hands on stage if you've seen the Thunderdome movie. Yeah, that movie came out before I was born, just FYI. Do you feel old yet? Okay, so let's go to a pitch round. So for this round, you'll each have roughly 30 seconds, and I will cut you off, or I'll give a signal to cut your mic off, whatever comes first. 30 seconds to introduce your company, what your value prop is, basically make them love you, okay? Let's start down at this end.
So at Big Leaf Networks, our SD-WAN platform is focused on what we call a site-to-cloud architecture. As more companies move line of business applications out to the cloud, they need to rethink how they architect their network. Our platform is uniquely situated to monitor their available internet connections, identify their applications, and give them the best possible experience as their customers move line of business applications out to the cloud.
Wonderful. Nice and concise. Next up.
I have a similar story. I'm the only company that was founded here to make voice, video, and other applications work from the site to the cloud, which he's now targeting precisely. But we're very similar, and we can have a real fight with a chainsaw and motorcycles later.
All right, so at CloudGenix, I like bullet points because it's hard for me to remember long sentences and complicated value propositions. So we are an application-defined provider. We are highly scalable, and we're compliance-driven.
So at Versa Networks, we provide a secure cloud IP platform that provides multi-services where we take our vision of taking networking, security, and cloud and integrate it into a single unified software platform to give you a unified pane of glass. And within that, part of that delivery is actually utilizing SD-WAN as the underlying value proposition to handle your services and delivery to the cloud.
So at Tulare Networks, we've been doing SD-WAN since 2007, actually, before SD-WAN was a term. It's exactly what we've been doing the whole time. And because of that, we've developed a technology. We hold 13 patents in the SD-WAN space, and we're able to reliably move traffic across any transport. So in the reality of where all you guys live, it's not all cloud yet. There's some existing MPLS networks, there's some prem data, some off-prem data. So that is what we exist to do. We're especially adept at handling real-time protocols like voice, video, those type of things, old remote desktop type stuff, green screen applications is what we're really good at.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Again, the most concise. These guys are efficient. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to an inquisitor round, and these guys are going to ask some questions, but I want to start with a question if it's okay with you guys. We'll start down here. If you were to explain SD-WAN to a 6-year-old, how would you do it? Go.
Okay.
15 seconds.
Honey, Daddy uses Waze in the car whenever I drive anywhere because it gives me the best route to get from here to there. It's Waze for the network.
Nice. Next.
Thief.
I got to go first.
2007, buddy.
No. Yeah. All right, to a 6-year-old. So imagine having multiple roads and you want to take a single road. SD-WAN lets you take all roads and make them all one single path to get to wherever you want, based on how you're actually feeling that particular day to get where you want to go to, whether the store, cloud, or utilize your voice services and things.
All right, honey, I know you have a smartphone in your hand, and it may be hard to believe, but when Dad was your age, those didn't exist. And as companies have started using those, we've had to develop ways to make those work more effectively throughout companies.
You know, when you're trying to watch your favorite video and it's going 1%, 1%, we fix that so you can see Barney.
So I'm going to change it a little bit because I have a 7-year-old, and it is, buddy, you know when you're playing Fortnite, and that exists out in the cloud, our platform helps ensure that you can get to the cloud so Fortnite works the way it's supposed to.
Nice. All right, what do you think of those answers? Audience, yes, that was good? Okay. All right, so let's kick it over to our subject matter experts, our inquisitors here. Maybe they're not going to explain it to a 6 or 7-year-old, but maybe a 40-year-old. So go ahead. What question do you have?
Here we go. What market or vertical have you seen the most success with, and why?
We'll start with you.
I'll start in first. You know, we bootstrapped the business in the early days, and when you're bootstrapping the business, you'll sell to anybody that'll buy from you. So we started out with a lot of SMB, single-site business. We'd still do quite a bit of that, but the biggest area of growth for us is what we kind of jokingly call the messy middle. These are customers with enterprise aspirations, but SMB budgets and constraints. You're talking 10, 20, 30, 50, maybe up to 100 locations that are looking to leverage the cloud to give them a leg up on their enterprise class customers and need a networking solution to go alongside that.
I would say it's medium-sized businesses that have lots of small sites, and voice or video or just the presence of the network with network performance is critical to their business. And that's usually maybe up to 100 sites is pretty typical.
In terms of vertical markets for us at CloudGenix, it's crystal clear to us. It's retail and finance.
As far as verticals is concerned, I'll add the next another one from finance as well as retail to also be oil and gas, but it's kind of vertical agnostic for us in the sense that we're just really focused on highly distributed enterprises, whether they're small or large, and their main purpose is to have a level of compliancy and segmentation within the networks and a need for extra bandwidth. And so a lot of businesses actually fall into that classification, so it's kind of industry or vertical agnostic, but the ones that are accelerating that are really finance as well as retail.
Yeah, we're pretty broadly focused as well. The key for Talari is in fail-safe SD-WAN, which is what we do. It's a customer who needs to have the network up, so we can't fail over, right? You can't fail, so you can't drop a call and then have the next call work. So we've been highly successful in call center environments, in environments with Citrix, remote desktop type stuff. That's where we're really successful.
All right, awesome. Let's move down to Devin.
So we all know it's a pretty crowded market, so pretty direct. What is your #1 differentiator, and why does it matter?
Exactly what I just said, fail-safe networking. So the #1 differentiator for us is instead of figuring out where the problem is and then fixing it quickly, it's been fixed before the user or even perceives that anything's gone wrong. And that's the key. So there is no actual failover switch of a session. It's because we're doing stuff packet-based. Things instantly work, and the users at layer 7, which is where it's important, don't suffer at all.
Sounds like magic.
It is. That's why it's patented.
There you go.
So only one? So security, right? So the whole, the whole thing from a marketing angle or just in industry in general about SD-WAN is this concept around utilizing public internet access, right? So broadband connectivity. And so one of our main differentiators is embedding and integrating advanced security inside of the SD-WAN platform, because you need to secure that form of access. You still need to provide a level of perimeter security for on-premise, and you actually need to protect your businesses from ingress coming in from the direct internet connectivity. And so what we've done, we've integrated NG Firewall as unified threat management directly natively inside of the SD-WAN platform of ours.
All right, so at CloudGenix, I would say our biggest differentiator would be our architecture as a whole. And specifically, we don't leverage POPs. So a lot of the SD-WAN solutions you're going to see out there, whether they're carrier delivered, whether they own their own POP, CloudGenix doesn't take that particular architectural approach. So I shared with you guys earlier that we're doing a really good job in finance. We're doing a really good job in healthcare, right? Compliance-driven verticals. A large reason why we're winning in that space, specifically in the mid-market and the enterprise space for those particular verticals, is around the architecture that we have and the fact that it's very compliance-driven because we're not sharing across multi-tenanted platforms.
We fix everything. That's what we tell the customers, and they agree. They have some
Magic
problem.
once again.
It's pure magic. Doesn't matter if it's voice, video, application. Just plug it in. It takes care of itself. It's autonomous, and they get more bandwidth than they ever had before.
We talk about this concept of cloud first and architecting a platform very specifically for customers that are leveraging line of business applications in the form of SaaS out in the cloud. These are environments where you can't bring your own network into, so how do you ensure that service? Well, for us, that's with a site-to-cloud architecture. It's our on-site hardware, it's our own nationwide backbone, including our own POPs, and connecting our customers as close as we can to those cloud and SaaS applications they're trying to reach.
Very awesome.
Since in the SD-WAN conversation, we're talking about using internet circuits, and the obvious next question is security. How and various SD-WAN providers have a different view on how they address security, if they do at all. How does your platform address internet security, and why have you chosen to go down that route?
Happy to start there. I think we look a little contrarian when it comes to that. We view a world where SD-WAN and security are two separate things. So we built our platform such that we're completely transparent to the customer's preferred method of security. So if they're a WatchGuard shop or a Palo Alto shop or a Juniper shop, Meraki, Fortinet, whatever, we give them an SD-WAN solution that sits transparent to that environment and lets them make a best-of-breed decisions on the security side as well as a best-of-breed decision on the SD-WAN side without any integration or compromise on either side.
So for a pure cloud customer, you just plug it in. There's no configuration. The firewall is automatic. Nothing, no knobs. For customers that have site-to-site and want a mesh network, we have a single click where we build either an IPsec or some other encrypted path among the sites.
So you bring your security along with your solution? Okay.
So, yeah, we deliver, the product has three things to it. It fixes performance, gives you network visibility, and it provides security.
What level of security is that? Is that a stateful firewall, or is it next-gen, UTM? Where is that?
It's hard to say. We would have ambitions to go to next-gen, but it's just a basic stateful firewall.
All right, so in terms of what's baked into the CloudGenix software today, we have a stateful Layer 7 application-driven firewall. That's the product that's in the solution. In the interest of full transparency, so I don't get attacked and blood shed my way.
You never know.
I think we missed the buck on that a little bit early on at CloudGenix. And what we found in working with some of these larger customers that, again, are very compliance-driven is that you can't really decouple the security conversation from the SD-WAN conversation, right? To your point, when you're leaving MPLS, it's one of the biggest concerns that comes up. So we've readdressed that architecture, and we're using our product, our firewall product, at the edge, at the application layer. And fundamentally what we're doing is we're creating single-click integrations into some of the top cloud security platforms out there. So we have integrations now into Zscaler, Palo Alto, Symantec, right? So as we see security shift more towards cloud consumption model, we're starting to take, with our product from the edge, our zone-based firewall, we will go back to cloud security providers, and we're seeing that be a really effective architecture. But I think we missed the mark early, and we had to make some adjustments there.
So for Versa, from day one, we thought networking and security should live together, right? Having those two teams be siloed from each other, as we kind of moved into this modernized digital world, it just didn't make sense. And so that's kind of what we brought, and we integrated directly natively into our software. And so with that, as I said earlier, NG Firewall, UTM. And the purpose of that was, as we realized, as the connectivity platform, right? So ultimately, SD-WAN is your connectivity edge point. It's what's going to consume and connect MPLS, internet, LTE, satellite, what have you. And there's a huge value add to actually embedding and directing your security right at that ingress point. And so that's kind of what we did with our security services. But within that, the openness of the platform also allows for native integrations and services like Fortinet or Palo Alto to be resided on top of us as a software platform. You can deploy us in the cloud, whether it's inside of your public cloud, AWS, Azure, what have you. as well as within any one of these provider clouds that are actually here that are partners. So for example, Verizon offers us a security services. Our partners Vergex, who are also here, also value-added services around security too as well. So for us, it's about taking a highly open approach, but integrating it because we realized on-prem security was not going to go away and was necessity for direct internet access.
So will you help the customer decide which best route to go?
Yeah, we do. So we do have formal partnerships with the traditional security players. And so if they have already on-prem security, we've got natural integrations to service chain to them and just kind of incorporate them. But ultimately, it is going to be customer driven. But we do find that a lot of customers find the value of moving away from separate security architectures to a native network and security for one simple point. And it's not really about securing the architecture, it's about making a heck of a lot easier to manage it. Because now you got a single place to actually define what you need for security and networking in a contextual manner. And you don't actually have to go through separate systems to do event correlation or configuration management and provisioning.
For Tulare, we can work in just in the hybrid environment with being able to work with MPLS or internet or any kind of circuit type. It's the same with security. So we do have a stateful firewall built in, like several of the other folks. We can host a next-gen firewall inside. We can also use any of the cloud services as well. The important thing, I think, for the community that you guys represent is because you probably sold them the security stuff before you're talking to them about SD-WAN, and to tell them they got to throw it all out and use a combined solution is probably not the best position for you to be in. So being able to integrate with anything that's existing or expanding or contracting and do that all within an SD-WAN secure environment is what we offer.
All right, awesome. Let's go back to the Inquisitor for a question.
Me? Yep. Now that SD-WAN has been around for quite some time, how have deployments gone, and what are some lessons learned?
So we had a 911 call center customer that has been in existence running SD-WAN and 911 calls for almost 9 years, right? We haven't dropped a phone call yet. So lesson learned is the stuff works, right? So that's good. A couple of the lessons that were learned early on, and I think we're learning today, and the folks that are coming a little bit newer to the market, is the hybrid environment that we're living in. We all thought maybe somebody's going to flip a switch and everything's going all internet. That didn't happen, and it's probably not going to happen in our technology lifetime. So the reality is the lessons that I think we've learned. We were always involved. You were always overlaying an MPLS network in the past, and now we're seeing some networks start to be just dual internet. That is very real, but there's still just tons and tons of spots where MPLS is the best service they're going to get, and it's not going away. So that's really the lesson that we've learned, that I've learned anyway.
So lessons we've learned, so our initial go-to-market was actually empowering managed service providers in order to kind of deliver this as a new managed service. And so, there's a lot of lessons learned there about, the challenges of integrating something that's net new service into a legacy-based kind of billing and operations architecture. So there's a lot of stuff we learned from that. But from an end-user customer perspective, I think the lessons learned that they actually got out of this, as opposed to us really, is the truth behind SD-WAN and some of the myths and fallacies centered around cost savings and things of that nature. So more to his point about the hybrid, basically it's a hybrid world, so MPLS is not going to go away. It is going to be used. You're going to augment it in most cases. Some may go to a pure broadband connectivity. They may. But the fallacies centered around SD-WAN, around these massive cost savings, 85, 90% TCO, return on investment. It was centered around the concept that you were going to one day flip this switch and all of a sudden everything was just broadband. And a lot of customers learned that the hard way because they kind of expected, I'm going to go, all right, let's slow roll this, let's go hybrid, but where's this money? I'm not saving anything, right? And so what they learned is that the lessons that they're learning here from an operations savings really comes around operations. They learn it's not necessarily the transport that's going to save them a lot of money, but they start realizing there's a little bit of time that they're saving, levels of automation that are actually now inherent to any one SD-WAN platform. And that's really kind of the lesson and the aha moment that a lot of actual customers actually get, right? So they kind of saw through me, the marketing guy, kind of BS that we kind of throw out there to the market about great cost savings and realize it's hybrid and their savings are really, really more around, let's say, quality of work experience, right? It's really around operations and the simplicity of that and making it a lot easier for them.
There's BS in marketing?
Yes, it's called marketecture.
All right, so lessons learned. I think I was already a little vulnerable on the security side. I would say that was probably our greatest lesson learned going through the process. But to answer the direct question, how are deployments going? I get super fired up about this. Every customer we have is referenceable. Our customers love our product, and they're going really, really well. To give you some scale, I'll give you two very specific quick examples. I'll keep it brief. Aaron's Rent-A-Center, some of you might be familiar with that if you live in the Southeast. We rolled out 2,200 sites in 9 months, right? It's an average of like 76 sites a week. Now think about that in context of MPLS, right? Pretty challenging. If anyone has done that, I will get off the stage and shake your hand. I'd be very, very impressed. So that was a great one. We just rolled out Colgate Palmolive, a manufacturer that you might be familiar with. Probably has everything in your bathroom. 246 global sites in 72 countries, which was really, really challenging from a distribution perspective. Second lesson learned was how the hell do I get equipment to some of those countries? Candidly, that is, if you've never done that, that is not fun. But the CIO, who's been in the business for 35 years, is a public reference on record that said that the CloudGenix deployment was the smoothest, the fastest, and the only one he's ever had in a global deployment go under budget and under time. So I'm super proud of that, and I'm really proud of the team that helped us do it.
I think the thing we learned first was that beware of the guys administering the firewall. That seems to cause us more problem than anything else. And subsequently, many customers just throw the firewall out and use ours because that gets rid of all the problems. And the second thing is, we're not really afraid of MPLS replacement, and that's really a big factor with us, is the first site that kind of go, oh, maybe I'll put you in, and maybe I'll try it, and then they go, oh, this feels so much better. So that was a lesson learned. And the third lesson learned, which is a kind of a negative thing, is by our visibility, I'm aghast at how poorly service providers behave, how often they go down, how often they're limiting the bandwidth, how often they're not network neutral, and how often data centers fail. I mean, I would say hardly a week goes by that one of those, a carrier, a data center, is failing in some way, and we have to tell them about that.
You know, I think for us, one of the best lessons we learned is where we are and aren't successful, right? How you get into the deals that you're supposed to win and get out of the ones you're not supposed to. And what we learned is that at the end of the day, our best conversations are cloud and application-driven conversations. Oftentimes, we're not a lead service or a lead product in the conversation. It's about helping our partners identify the right type of conversation around the cloud and understanding that when that customer is saying, I'm moving a line of business application out to the cloud, this is a big leaf opportunity, I want to talk to them here. Versus, this is an SD-WAN opportunity, I want to use it with MPLS and I want to save some money. Well, no, we're not a good fit for that, let's get that out. So us understanding where we fit and then helping partners understand where we fit and getting everybody to success faster.
Cool, all right, so let's move on to the head-to-head round. I'll start off with the questions. If you guys think of any questions for head-to-head, we'll get to those in just a second. But let's do Big Leaf and InSpeed, okay? Because I think you guys talked about this earlier, and I kind of want you to elaborate more on it. We'll start with Big Leaf. Security. You're very open. Your security comes with it. Why is one better than the other?
You know, I think in our environment, as a startup, you have to make a decision at some point in your life. Are you going to try to be a whole bunch of things and run the risk of being mediocre at all of them? Or are you going to pick something and be really, really good at it? And for us, we came from a networking background. We understood that space. We decided that's what we wanted to do, and we wanted to do that better than anybody. We didn't want to be mediocre at anything, especially security. Security conversations should never include the words could, would, should, and hope, right? Security conversations need to be definitive. Our decision was, hey, let's build our platform such that we can partner with best-of-breed security platforms, give customers the ability to make the decision they need to around security, and then put a best-of-breed SD-WAN solution behind it.
I'll be really honest, 3 of our founders were security experts, and they wouldn't have it any other way. I had no choice. They wouldn't pay any attention to me. And so when we started shipping the product, we didn't mention anything about security, and it was only on demand by the customers that we started selling, okay, if there's a firewall there, you can use it. And so I don't want to do everything either, so we are very careful in saying, you know, this is not a firewall for everyone, but if you fit this pattern, you're good, and you should be quite happy.
Okay, do you have a rebuttal or anything?
I think it's less about a rebuttal at the end of the day. I think the biggest thing for you guys is there's a lot of noise around SD-WAN. We all have different opinions. And frankly, it's not about one of us being dramatically better than the other. It's about you guys figuring out who's the best fit in the right situation. So there's plenty of situations where Ed's going to be a great fit. Understanding when those situations are and going to him is a good way to go. Vice versa, understanding that your customers are looking for a cloud-first architecture, something transparent to a firewall. That's where we're going to win. That's when we want you guys to engage us.
Okay. Do you guys, I'll give you 5-10 seconds if you have anything to say about that. Anybody?
I'm good on security.
Okay.
I think I've beat the security horse dead at this point.
Yeah, I think you're
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Everyone? Good?
Yeah.
I got some head nod.
The only thing I'll say is that for any of your guys' conversations, no matter whether you do it integrated, whether you do it best of breed, the point you should walk away from all this is that security needs to be a part of your conversation, period. Right? Doesn't matter. Right? So how you deliver it, how you consume it, right? Go figure that out. But at the end of the day, when it comes to whether you're going to cloud, like SaaS, private, whatever it is, right? Anything cloud, security needs to be a part of that conversation. When you're congesting new forms of transport, security needs to be a part of that conversation. And that's the only thing you really need to walk away from this in conjunction with SD-WAN.
Yeah, I'd say just cross your fingers, hope for the best. I think that's good.
Yeah, you said it exactly what I was going to say. If you're having an SD-WAN conversation, not having a security conversation at the same time, if you're having a UCAS conversation, you're not having an SD-WAN conversation and a security conversation at the same time, you are doing your customer a disservice. You have to have those conversations holistically at the same moment.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Inquisitors, any head-to-head questions that you can think of?
Yeah, I'll go. Do you want to pick a head-to-header?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Why don't we just do the two here on the end, guys? So cloud access, right? You hear about cloud, you should be thinking about SD-WAN. Feel free to talk about the why, but when you hear about those cloud deployments, those SaaS applications, why is your platform the best fit for those cloud applications and supporting those cloud apps?
So a lot of SD-WAN providers see the cloud as just another endpoint, or they're, as Ryan said, they're POP-based or gateway-based, and so they actually need the cloud in order to work. The way we look at it is cloud, it's not one spot, so it's kind of hard to say, okay, I'm just going to put a Talari in the cloud and that's going to solve everything. So what we've actually developed is something called Cloud Connect. And what Cloud Connect does is it actually allows any SaaS provider at all to have a little piece of code running in the network that's a Talari that's in there, and it's not monetized for them or for the customer. It's there. So it's more like a marketplace of services where you can say, hey, I'm connecting up to RingCentral. So in our setup, I've got Talaris and 87 sites, and I've got RingCentral East and West, and that's it. They don't have to actually provision something there. So that's how we look at cloud. I think it's a pretty significant leapfrog that we've done by doing it that way.
So I won't focus too much on like how you actually deliver the SD-WAN solution to like address cloud, right? So like really ignoring the kind of consumption aspect of it. So whether hubs, gateways, you know, whatever. As far as what we do that's different, I think, within the cloud concept that you're talking about is really around monitoring, right? Because that's fundamentally at the core of what you need to do from a cloud angle. So, you know, what we do is we do both active as well as passive monitoring. So what that really means for you is, you know, you hear a lot about SD-WAN, and the value of SD-WAN is really around in a book-ended scenario, which means SD-WAN talks to SD-WAN. And in that situation, they do magical stuff, and things happen on the other side. And so the other added secret sauce we do is really kind of make it so that you can actually unbookend this, right? So I don't need another Versa at the other side, right? So Versa does active levels of monitoring where we can actually look at the various different, as we call it, kind of experience levels of the applications to make, you know, algorithmic decisions to determine what's the best path or best combination of paths to get the user's data from point A to point B, right? And so that's one level of differentiation in how we address the cloud aspects. We're really looking at how do you actually handle the monitoring in order to deliver multipathing, right? Because that's one of the key characteristics of that, to kind of deliver the reliability as well as the experience associated to the app.
If I can add on real quick, Ryan, I'd like you, visibility in the cloud, monitoring of cloud applications, right? Once you actually extend into that Salesforce.com environment, what are you guys doing from that standpoint?
Yeah, so a lot. So for starters, Salesforce.com is a customer of CloudGenix, and with that completely aside, I'll use a different example. Microsoft 365, who's not a customer of CloudGenix, because I don't want to dilute the point by saying that they're a customer. I just wanted to tip my own hat there for a second, to be completely honest. So we were built and defined at layer 7, right? So that's what we do. That is, we think a foundational architectural principle for CloudGenix. So the idea is that packets and protocols and the physical layer information is incredibly relevant to how an application behaves on the network, but it only tells half the story. And the best example I can give you of this is if you ever have answered a help desk ticket or an angry customer call, they never say my MOS score is bad. That's not the ticket you get, right? It's my damn phone doesn't work, right? So the unit of experience, someone said experience earlier, but that unit of application experience is how we're already being measured, guys. Whether we're the provider, whether we're the SD-WAN provider, whether we're the trusted advisor, or we're the customer within our own internal business unit. So the idea that that becomes a unit of measurement became foundational to us. So the way to directly answer Devin's question, the way we measure that, right, is we look at everything that comes into the network, session by session, flow by flow, because we were built that way. We weren't built as a router and then changed to understand applications or add enhancements to understand apps. We were born at the app layer. So because we can see every flow coming in and out of the network, I don't have to just look at things like, does latency cause a bad voice call? I can actually measure MOS scores in real time, right? And we can see things like, is my UCaaS provider's host server having slow response times back to the network, right? Are sessions initiating and failing, or are they completing transactions? Those are fundamentally different measurements than the traditional network stack, and we look at those every day and take algorithmic approaches to how we build networks around it.
Can I ask a question that is, it's head-to-head, but all of them?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this isn't meant to be belligerent, but this, you know, you guys are all technology providers, right? And there's very many ways for customers to acquire an SD-WAN solution. How can a customer acquire your SD-WAN solution, and why have you chosen that or those models?
So from a business perspective, I mean, customers, we're available in traditional router model, you know, CapEx type stuff from, you know, any VAR that you would want to talk to. We're available through the agent channel, obviously, because we're sitting here. You know, in an OpEx model, an MRR model. The point that we want to make, and the point that we've driven very hard, and especially in being in existence for 11 years, is there's not one way that this is being consumed right now. That's also a hybrid environment. So there are customers that still have CapEx budget they've got to spend. Maybe they want to use CapEx for the hardware. Maybe they want to use OpEx for the subscription software. So you have to be very flexible as a vendor, and that's something that we've done pretty successfully, is being available in all those avenues. As well as managed service versus unmanaged. You know, some want to manage it themselves. That's something they look forward to. They don't want to hide it all behind a managed, or they want the easy button. So either way.
Do you provide a managed service?
We provide through partners managed service. We let these guys make money.
So our first method of route to market was actually through the providers, right? And the reason behind that was when we had a lot of in-house expertise about understanding what service providers needed. So there's obviously things that we did at the product to kind of help facilitate integration within that. So, you know, we've got roughly around 80 plus service providers around the globe that offer us from a managed offer. And the reason why we did that is obviously as a startup and a small company, that's the best way to scale, right? So you do that, and when you kind of take a look at how we approach that, we cover roughly about 70% of the existing VPN market across the globe in various different regions. So it kind of helps us from a scale perspective to address that. And we also, you know, within that, you know, that obviously offers the managed aspect, which helps us scale operations and enable others. But we also offer it from a DIY perspective, right? So we do help facilitate customers to actually go and deploy on their own, but it's actually fulfilled through partners. So our strategy on that side was actually just we're 100% partner fulfilled, so we don't actually fulfill anything directly. So we learned that, and we took our learnings from the SP aspect, right? You know, empowering the Verizons, the Comcast, CTLs of the world, and others to actually deliver a managed offer. And then from that, we then moved into a fully partner fulfilled model to do direct to the enterprise with the direct touch aspect. And now we've actually kind of built out a channel program. So we kind of slowly ramped up how we want to address enterprise in a different way. Started at managed offers to kind of address that at the scale perspective, and started looking at it from a more traditional enterprise engagement.
All right, so almost the exact opposite of what he just said. I would think fundamentally that's not a personal shot, I swear. We took an exact opposite approach. We sold direct to the mid-market and the enterprise, and we did it by getting our teeth kicked in and going to sell it to them with our partners in the seat. It's a sell with model. So we sell nothing direct. It's 100% channel. And it took time. To his point, it's a lot easier to scale when you're selling wholesale to a provider and they're delivering you in as a SKU, right? That's a very good way to get scale. And several of our competitors, Versa being included, took that approach. we took a different approach, right? It's up to you guys to decide where it is and what's right and what's wrong. We like where we're at now, right? We're penetrated in the Fortune 100, 16 customers in the Fortune 2000 in addition to the 4 in the Fortune 100 that we have. So we've now built scale, and we did it through feet on the street and grunt work with our partners. The last question I think was asked about managed services. That was a no for me until about 6 weeks ago. So we now have 7 onboarded managed services partners. 2 of them you can SKU through us. And the main reason we did that, we're out of necessity. So again, fighting Colgate drove one of those. So if you know who manages Colgate's network, they are a managed service offering for us. And another one is a company called Wipro you might be familiar with. They're one of the largest global managed service providers on earth. You'll see them on one of the European soccer banners going around the field if you ever watch soccer. But, that gave us instant scale and global reach, which was something we were struggling with that I think we've addressed really effectively, and that came out of grunt work at the customer level.
We started on voice, and the guys with the most pain, which were the resellers for voice systems, and that's still our major channel. So we did not go through as far as I'm concerned, the ISPs to a certain extent create the network issues to start with. So rather than trying to convince them to fix their stuff, we decided to just put our stuff on top. And we do have ambitions to go to other channels, but primarily today we're really a channel that goes through voice resellers, and voice resellers are refashioning themselves as managed solution providers. And so we're expanding through the MSP channel.
A fairly common theme, but partner-driven. We were born of the channel. Frankly, we were born of this channel. This channel constitutes the biggest chunk, the overwhelming majority of our revenue today is working with you guys day in and day out. And we knew this was going to be the best channel for us because we saw ourselves sitting in between the connectivity that you guys have been selling for years and the cloud and SaaS applications you want to sell or will be selling in the future. The way our platform sandwiches in between those two things, so does our sales strategy. And this channel is a huge chunk of that. This channel has driven us into some wholesale relationships. We've got a handful of great wholesale partners, including Call Tower and Star to Star, who are both at this show. But this is our channel. This is our world.
All right, awesome. I want to make sure I have enough time. Do you have a question? Okay. Well, we'll let you ask your question, then we'll be thinking of questions because I'm going to dive into the audience and I'm going to crowd surf in just a second. So just be ready for that.
I think we'll go Versa and CloudGenix for this one. It's a design question. So. A lot of enterprise clients demand high availability, right? Not just so much with circuits and connectivity, but hardware on-prem. What kind of solutions do you offer? Are they a dual box solution side by side or a dual box solution north-south?
You want me to go first? I'm holding a mic, so I'm just going to go for it. So our solution is highly available across all of our platforms. Also a recent update. Previously, our smallest box was not highly available. Now it is, mainly because of large retailers that needed it. To answer your question directly, we can fail over between 2 software appliances, a hardware and a software appliance, multiple hardware appliances. Side note, we are a software-defined wide area networking company, which means we don't have any proprietary hardware at all. I don't think that's true for all SD-WAN solutions out there. So we live in the software plane. That's what we do. And from a software perspective, we can do HA there. And if we do ship hardware, it's on an x86 gray box. So some of our partners like yourself choose to grab their own hardware and throw in a virtual appliance. One of our customers, Columbia Sportswear, has us and Palo Alto side by side on the same virtual box. There's a lot you can do there, but the architecture is incredibly flexible, highly available, and our ports are 2 on the small box highly available, 6 on our medium box highly available, and in the data center or gigabit size locations, we can do 12 highly available WAN ports, so 24 total ports, 12 connectivity points that are highly available.
So I won't go into port count, but from an HA perspective, right? So I mean, it's basically almost the same, right? So whether you would do on an on-prem perspective, we're very much like CloudGenix, right? So I think that we're actually probably the 2 only software-only kind of approaches. So we don't actually have our own, hardware that we actually manufacture and go with, right? So we're a white box solution. But from that angle, on-prem HA happens through, standard redundancy protocols. Obviously connectivity options, we can make any port a WAN port, LAN port, whatever you want, but you can add, I think the other angle to the HA that you might be, that you didn't actually ask, that's actually I think critical. So you actually have on-prem redundancy, so HA between 2 appliances that are side to side, right, next to each other, whether virtual or physical in that sense, or bare metal. The other one is actually your control infrastructure. Where's the HA and control, right? Because if your controllers go down in some solutions, the SD-WAN appliances can't run headless. So can you actually support a headless operation, right? So is the brain cut off, and can the actual SD-WAN continue to pass traffic? And yes, we can. Can you cluster your actual controllers, right? So there's a lot of other elements to SD-WAN that you don't talk about a lot, and that's like the management stuff. And so can that actually be clustered together to provide that level of high redundancy, right? Because you need the controller to kind of do the magical stuff, to look at things, to manage it, to modify policies and things like that. And so if that goes away, well, what's the point of actually having the network, right? But there's another downstream to that is, can you actually run headless while you're trying to fix that? So HA happens across the board, across the full spectrum, whether we're actually on-prem, we can run virtual, in the cloud as a HA and running it that way too as well. So, and the SD-WAN itself, I think, naturally brings HA, right? Because of connectivity aspects to it too as well, right?
Okay. I turn to the audience now. Who has a question? If you ask a question, you get one of these spiffy backpacks. Ooh. All right, I'm coming to you.
My kids love backpacks. So my name's Rafael. So my question is, I'm responsible for sales for SciWest Communications, and so I'm out in the field dealing with customers, dealing with CIOs, and I'm dealing with my networking team internally. And all the hype and all the over-promising, under-delivering of SD-WAN really affected the technical folks, inside firms that I talk to and outside. So my question is, so I just met, and here's an example. I just want to hear how you would talk to my founder, because I'm bringing back this information about SD-WAN. So we have, top 100 law firm, 40 locations, highly reliant on their network infrastructure. They really think, because of the marketing, that they can go broadband. Right now we have dual active MPLS circuits at most of their locations, with the exception of some internet. So what would you say to my CIO? I get you.
All right.
So my question, what would you say to him to say, okay, this is get past the hype, but here's something we can actually do?
All right. I would say a couple of ways. So Tulare, 4 of the top 10 law firms, right? All right. So right there. Our net promoter score is 95, no BS. We had to write a white paper on it because nobody believed that number. So we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of customers who wildly will tell you that we did not oversell one single thing ever in our 10-year existence of shipping product. So that is absolutely true. So nobody's going to give you something that you can't absolutely take to the bank from a technical level, and it's going to work. Our stuff actually does work. To the extent, like I said earlier, 911 call center, and it's not one of them, right? We have a bunch of 911 call centers all running on our stuff that have survived hurricanes and everything else. The stuff absolutely works. We actually are installed, and I'm going to be very careful because there's a video camera here. If you imagine a fleet of airplanes that has very important people that spend a lot of time on the phone or using Twitter, we're installed in that environment, all right? So that is something where you can talk about high availability, you talk about whatever you want. If you fail one phone call in that environment, you have screwed up things that are well beyond a networking guy's thing to screw up. So that is the kind of environments that we've been installed in for a long time, and nobody's going to oversell you from our standpoint at all.
I see some people chomping at the bit over here.
So I would say sorry. Honestly, right? I mean, the truth of the matter is for them that you're going to educate them is that, listen, when we came at the market hard with SD-WAN because it was like, wow, there's a really cool value proposition you can drive. And within that, of course, there was a lot of learnings and dealings, but very much to some of the things that George has kind of stated, we're at a point now where SD-WAN as a technology across functionally all of us, where it's mature, and we've actually, all of us have gone through a lot of pain to actually understand how do you provision, how do you deploy, how do you actually manage distribution, getting units out, what's this policy thing, right? And so the thing that I would actually articulate to you is that all of us have matured, and the one thing that you need to do in the SD-WAN provider that you're partnering with, the key thing that we've learned, at least at Versa, that I've done with a lot of our partners, is it's really about actually enabling you, right? It's not, a lot of what happened in the early days is really, here's SD-WAN, they've kind of flipped it over the fence, and everyone kind of thought, let me just plug this thing in, and all of a sudden magic kind of happens, and they kind of forgot there's a lot of other stuff associated, and that's why there was a bad experience with it. So the only thing I can really say is matured, right? You really need to view your SD-WAN vendor as a partner, not just as a vendor that you're selling, okay? And I think that's a shift that maybe you guys need to kind of move into a little bit to kind of help with this.
Thank you.
All of us to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would not, personally, I'm not going to take a highly available dual MPLS customer and dump them onto 2 broadbands. I'm not sure that's the best decision, candidly. So I think what I would say is look at a provider that can support that transition process, right? So we have countless examples of customers that maybe had 2 different disparate networks, right, that were different MPLS providers. Maybe they acquired another company. People in here have probably had that use case. I have a partner in here who has sold one of those deals with us. I just saw him walk in. So similar strategy, right? Whether it's 2 different MPLS environments or 2 of the same provider or whatever, right? There is east-west type connection. I think there's a really good argument to saying phase that and test across that and really onboard it responsibly. I don't think you have to rip off the Band-Aid, right? And there's a way to do that responsibly and walk through that architecture. Not all technology support. I think a lot of them do. I'm not going to speak for everybody else's technology because candidly, I'm not 100% sure. Ours does, so we can do that.
Is there a way to do a proof of value or a proof of concept where an engineer will be able to explain?
I think all of us will do a POC, right?
We all have huge success with POC.
Yes. Put something in a defined for us. It's defined. I think it's probably similar for everybody. I'm not going to speak for you. Nod your head, right? Define success criteria. Make sure that you lay out exactly what's failure, what's success. Here's what we're testing. Here's why. Here's our estimated cost. Put a fix. Here's the key, guys. If you want to take POCs to closure, we're doing it at 90+%. I think it was 86 last time I checked, roughly. Define the timeline. It's that easy. Hey, if we define success over this 2-week period of time, we're going to come in and deploy your network. Okay. And you'd be amazed how much easier that second conversation is. So if you're not doing POCs today, I think all of us will do it. I think all of us would say, define a timeline.
Awesome. Briefly, if you have an answer.
I'm just going to go fix him tomorrow. I mean, one of our big customers is a big law firm. Threw all that junk away. Sure.
I don't have a lot to add on to it other than everybody's going to tell you they have great customer support in any industry. It's not unique to this group, right? Anyway, right? So the first place I would go is don't ask us, ask your peers. Right? Ask around. Get a feel for the people you respect in the channel and what their impressions are of the different providers. I think that's going to give you a good clue. The next thing I would go to that I think is the healthiest conversation that anyone in the channel can have is to not have a network conversation, but to have an application conversation. That active MPLS network, well, if their most important application is no longer going to be consumed in the data center where that other place is, then that network isn't going to meet your needs anymore. If it's going to remain there, then that's a great environment. But understand what the application is, where that's going, and build the network backwards.
All right. Any other questions? Coming to you. I'll get your backpack too.
Hi, my name's John. I have one question. All of you said it, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. MPLS fatigue. Everybody's tired of it. Everyone's trying to move away from it. Help me understand why you guys are the best value when all of you live and breathe on the fact you need MPLS to deliver your experience.
I don't need MPLS to deliver my experience, and in fact, we're not a great MPLS fit. At the end of the day,
you got 10
this
seconds.
notion that SD-WAN is disrupting the MPLS market, I disagree with. I think the cloud has already done that. The cloud has taken a hub and spoke network and flipped it on its head. Our networks are less and less about getting back to a single location and more about getting out to all these other locations. You need to talk about purpose-built connectivity relative to the applications with your customers.
Awesome. Thank you. 10 seconds.
We have a little kit. We'll guide you through it. A little document about how to get past all your fears and problems because it's a very scary thing to do, no question. But that's what we do for a living.
I agree with Jeff. Cloud drove it. I think the contract terms of MPLS have stayed behind a little bit, and I think that's just the laggard part of that cycle. But the cloud, without a doubt, the fact that applications have moved is what is killing MPLS at a rate of, it is happening, guys. It's 25% reduction in the $40 billion MPLS market over the next 2 years. Like it or not, it's happening.
Thank you. 10 seconds.
I just say it's not dead, right? I mean, like what we said earlier, it's hybrid, right? So what you need to have is a hybrid solution to kind of help transition you, right? because you aren't going to flip the switch in most cases, right? You are going to exist, then you're going to augment to something else, into which case you need a hybrid method to kind of handle both worlds at the same time simultaneously.
So the key is to be transport agnostic. So be able to work on satellites, be able to work over old phone systems, be able to work over MPLS. We can do ISDN and X25 if you want. It doesn't matter. Be transport agnostic.
All right, and I saw a question over here. It's probably the last audience question.
Practice for the lightning round. If you had to describe yourself, easy to use or full featured?
Ooh, let's do one word. Pick one.
Which one? Easy to use or full featured?
Yep.
I got one word. Both.
Beef.
I mean,
unique.
I'll actually answer the question. I'm going to go with easy to use.
Slickerist. I'll say it again, slickerist.
Like Ryan, I'm not going to beat around it. Easy to use.
all right, I got a lightning round question. You're going to squirm in your seats a little bit. If you had to sell someone else on stage beside yourself, who would it be?
Well, considering I do so many panels with Ryan, I think I know his product the
answer,
closest.
please.
CloudGenix.
Okay.
I pick Big Leaf.
I would pick Big Leaf.
I do CloudGenix.
Yeah, just because I understand it, I do CloudGenix.
Okay. Do you guys have any lightning round questions? We may have time for like one more. No? Do you have any lightning round questions you want to hear a one-word answer? All right, well, that's actually all the time we have, unfortunately. I want to thank our victims up here. The bloodshed was minimal. That's good. I want to thank our inquisitors as well. If you have questions that didn't get answered, feel free to tackle these guys as they're walking through the exhibition hall. Appreciate your attention, and have a good show.